Hello everybody, welcome. Gotta say, I was a bit hesitant at first to make this video because the thing is, I am not particularly gifted when it comes to decorating food. So that means today's ideas are gonna be very simple, but at the same time, they're still gonna look kinda good. Oh, and there's a brownie recipe in this that has easily become my new favorite thing. I encourage you to make this one someday, not just on Halloween. So I think a good rule or hack for how to give any type of food a Halloween look is to simply put googly eyes on it. I wouldn't even know where to buy those, especially vegan ones. So for this first recipe, we're gonna make ourselves some eyes. Since, once again, I'm an absolute decorating noob, I adapted an idea from a food blog that I will link down below. In a small to medium-sized bowl, combine lots of powdered sugar with a bit of cornstarch. Add some maple syrup, some vanilla, and some non-dairy milk, which you're gonna add 1 teaspoon at a time until everything turns into this smooth white paste. Now grab a tall glass or like a jar and a small plastic bag or a fancy piping bag if you happen to have one of those. What I'm trying to do here is getting one of the corners to be at the bottom of the glass. Then spoon the mix into the bag. Definitely try to wrap the rest of the bag around the glass before you add anything. It took me a minute to figure that out. Press the entire contents of the bag towards that one corner. And also make sure that at this point you have a baking sheet ready that's lined with parchment paper. Snip off the end of the corner with some scissors and now create little dots on the sheet. You don't have to be precise here at all because the circles will magically spread into neat looking round or oval shapes. Just use really light pressure on the bag. Gently top each one with a dark chocolate chip. You don't want to wait too long with adding the chocolate because it's gonna set pretty quickly. Then let the eyes rest on the counter overnight or even for up to 24 hours. Nice, now you can use them for all types of recipes. Like for these, I'd chocolate and blueberry energy bites. My friend Ati said that these remind her of the little guys from Spirited Away. I can see it. First things first, let some dates soak in hot water for about 15 minutes. Also, let some almonds roast at 180 degrees for 6 to 8 minutes or until they're golden brown and your kitchen smells really nice. Then grab a food processor and add oats, salt, vanilla. This time it's vanilla paste. I recently saw some at Penny for pretty cheap, by the way. Add chia seeds, the roasted almonds, the now drained dates, and some frozen blueberries. Scrape down the sides a couple times if needed. This doesn't have to be super smooth, just blend it enough for you to be able to easily form it into little balls. So my original plan was to coat them in some vegan white chocolate. After that failed, I settled for some melted dark chocolate with coconut oil.
Holy nightmare, blessed night.
Before the chocolate had set fully, I added the eyes. Let them sit on the counter for a couple hours until set, then transfer them to the fridge or eat them. Okay, so this next idea is incredibly lazy. Grab some rice cakes, spread them with some vegan cream cheese. Next up, grab some Oreos. We're only gonna need these halves, but keep the other halves for the cake recipe later. Either just add chocolate chips, or if you've got some candy eyes prepared, add some candy eyes. Last but not least, a little white almond for the beak. And there you have it, some head-wake rice cakes. Also, an incredibly simple recipe. These are little vegan pizza mummy bites. Grab a sheet of puff pastry and cut it into 2 parts. One part being 1/3 of the sheet and the other the remaining 2/3. Cut the bigger part into somewhat equally sized rectangles. And the other part you're gonna cut into little thin strips. It's important to always keep the puff pastry chilled, so while you are working on one part, maybe place the other part into the fridge. Also grab some pre-made tomato sauce and some vegan salami. Feel free to cut the salami into smaller pepperoni-esque circles. Now preheat your oven to 180 degrees. Place the pastry rectangles onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Spread 1 to 2 spoonfuls of marinara sauce onto each rectangle. You might also want to grab some vegan pizza cheese. I didn't have any, but I'm sure that would make a great addition. Then add the vegan meat. And then the other pastry strips. Let them bake for 20 to 25 minutes or until slightly golden brown. Now let's remember the spooky food decorating rule, which entails, when in doubt, just add googly eyes. You could technically glue the candy eyes on the pizza using some more of the powdered sugar icing. That sentence sounds so wrong. Yeah, I still haven't found a savory solution for candy eyes, so if you have an idea, leave it in the comments. I don't think I've ever been this proud of a cake before. These are pumpkin swirl brownies. First of all, I wanted to quickly show you how I make pumpkin puree. If you want to skip straight to the brownie recipe, the timestamp for that will be in the description. Cut a smaller sized Hokkaido pumpkin in half. Take out the seeds. Place the pumpkin halves cut side facing down on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and transfer it to the oven to roast there for 40 to 50 minutes until soft. Let the pumpkin cool down completely and then you'll be able to remove the skin easily. Add the pumpkin insides to a food processor or a blender and blend it up until super smooth. I put the rest that I didn't need for the cake in the freezer so that I'm able to use those in the future for oatmeals and smoothies or single serving chocolate chip cookies. Onto the brownie mix. Preheat your oven to 180 degrees. In a large mixing bowl, combine the dry ingredients first. So that's flour, salt, baking powder, unsweetened cacao, a tiny bit of cinnamon, and sugar. To that, you're going to add some of the pumpkin puree, some vegetable oil, I'm using sunflower seed here, and some non-dairy milk. Mix it all up. Pour the batter into a brownie pan or a small square-shaped casserole dish that's lined with parchment paper. Then for the main pumpkin part, combine the following things: some more of the pumpkin puree, some plain vegan yogurt, cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice, a little bit of sugar, and melted vegan butter. Spoon big dollops of the pumpkin mix on top of the brownie layer. And then run with a knife through it to create this swirled look. If you have reserved the Oreos from the owl recipe, then feel free to add some of those on top as well. I didn't want to cover the swirls, so I kind of just placed the Oreos along the edges. Let them cool on the counter completely, and then feel free to put them in the fridge for a couple more hours. That's how they taste best, in my opinion. This cake is everything. It melts in your mouth like no other brownie I've had before. That's it for today's ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed this slightly different video. Even though making this video was a bit daunting for me at first, I had a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone who asked me to do this. Again, try the brownie recipe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!